Hello and welcome to my channel, and before I get started I do want to say spoiler warning for current events happening in Campaign 3. So yeah, last warning, spoilers, 3, 2, 1 spoilers. Anyway, so I try not to spread negativity around this channel. There's already a bunch of negative people surrounding any fan base realistically, and Critical Role is no different. There's a bunch of negative people around it as well, and I try not to involve myself in it, and I try to stick to the positive things. However, I do want to talk about something briefly today that isn't terribly negative, but is still something that could be seen as negative, and that is Imogen's and Laudna's relationship. Now, I'm not against the relationship. I actually rather like the pairing as a group and as a relationship, but I have a problem with basically when it started that they were official. So, first and foremost, I've enjoyed them being, their relationship up to this point. I've enjoyed many moments between the two characters. That being said, after episode, I believe it was 65 or 66, where they sort of made it official that they were now a couple, it sort of hit me that that's kind of stupid. They've been a couple the entire campaign. And when I look back upon it and, look at every moment that's been a big moment between the two characters, if you look at it through the eye of them being in a relationship, it changes very little about anything. They've realistically been a couple since day one. And I think it would have been better if they had just decided to make them a couple from the beginning. And I know that sounds sort of ridiculous, but I also kind of want to point out the fact that they claimed this campaign is going to be different, which is something that I harp on. I harp on their claim that this campaign was going to be different. And so far, they've done good things to make it different, like I've said in the past. The story is one long arc with the same villains the whole time. They've had amazing guests that have definitely stretched what it means to be a guest, and they've, had very big impacts compared to previous guests in other campaigns. But this relationship could have been another sort of different thing, because up until this point, it was a will they won't they thing, which has been every single relationship in Critical Role. Every single relationship is will they won't they. Keyleth and Vax. I'm lesser about Percy and Vex, but they did it a little bit as well. And then Ford and Jester was obviously one. Yasha and Bo was one. So they've done a lot of these will they won't they things, and it tremendously bothers me that Laudna and Imogen didn't just start together, and they did a will they won't they, because from day one in this campaign, everyone literally said they're going to be together. It was the single most predictable will they won't they in any of the campaigns. With Keyleth and Vax, there was a sense of duty that Keyleth had that sort of prevented the two of them from getting together right away, and she's new to the world, so she wasn't too sure about it. So there was that. But then you look at Ford and Jester and how you didn't necessarily know if they were going to end up together, because there was not just Ford who was interested in Jester. It wasn't just Caleb, it was also Bo. There's 3 people all on the top table, all looking at Jester with sort of the same eyes, and we didn't know who was going to end up with her because we weren't too sure. Ford wasn't really showing too many signs of interest in her. Caleb was really claiming it's a crush, but he was in love for the longest time for that campaign. And Bo, realistically, we don't know where Bo lies. I'm pretty sure she would say it was definitely more of a lust thing. But at the end of the day, it was very much compelling will they won't they, because there was 2 other players in it, and it didn't happen until the end of the campaign where it was truly solidified, because at that point in time, Ford had truly moved past anything that was a threat in his life and was ready to sort of move on from this sort of adventuring thing and start something else. That was interesting about Ford and Jester. And Laudna and Imogen don't have this. They don't have other players sort of bouncing off each other, making it more interesting. There's not as much of a dynamic. Everyone else is sort of in their own boat of where they lie with, certain things like this. Fern and Chetney have their little thing going, and then Fern and Deanna and Chetney have their little thing. FCG and Frida. Ashton doesn't really want a relationship by the seams of things. Orem definitely doesn't want a relationship. So everyone else is in their own boat, not necessarily dealing with the Laudna Imogen thing. So if you go back and look at the campaign with the eyes of, are they together already from the beginning? From day one, say they're together. You go back over a handful of moments, and it both makes certain moments a little bit more impactful and then doesn't change a whole lot at the same time. So realistically, you could have had them do this could have had them be together from the beginning, and most things would have felt the same. They would have been exactly the same. They would have still cared for each other. They would have still, been around each other. They would have made sure that each other were still okay. But then in certain moments, it would have been more impactful if they already were together. Like when she broke the gnarl stone, the gnarl rock, and she said, "You lied," and they had like a little bit of a break. They went on a break there. That would have been way more impactful if they were already together. Same with when Laudna died. If Laudna had died and the two of them were dating, Imogen would have went on a much more impactful warpath. She would have been like, fuck everything else we're doing right now. I'm getting Laudna back. And that would have been awesome. Like, that would have been much more impactful. But I think another problem that I have with when they started to, like, make it official that they were together is literally when. And the issue I have with it is simply, why did Imogen do it, like, why did she kiss her after, like, the 7 or 8 days they were separated, instead of after Laudna had fucking died? Like, this is an issue for me. Why was 7 days apart worse than potentially never seeing this person ever again? To the point where now she's going to start the relationship with her. It makes zero sense to me that she didn't kiss her upon her revival, like, and start the relationship then. I think it would have made way more sense if that was the instigating moment of them sort of being together. So I truly just believe this was done too late. If it was done a little earlier, I would have felt the impact of the moment a bit better. But the moment where it happened, I was like, well, it's about fucking time. That's what I sort of said to myself when it happened. It's about time this happened. So for me, I sort of fell off the whole relationship for a while. But now that it's back on, I'm sort of excited to see where it goes. But I just wish it had started sooner, or even from the beginning. If it was from the beginning, it would have made it totally different from any other relationship. We have not seen a character come in to Critical Role already with another person, like dating-wise. That to me would have been truly interesting to see how everyone else sort of bounce off the dynamic. First of all, it would have taken 2 players off the board for potential relationships or ships, which would have changed the whole fan base for Campaign 3 in the first place. Like, there are people who ship Laudna and Imogen with other characters. So that wouldn't have existed, potentially. Some people are weird and still would have done it, if those 2 characters were already together. So a fan base shift would have happened. And I think it would have just been interesting to see exactly how that would have changed everything if they were together from the beginning. And if, I'm going to put this out there, I know it's going to sound weird, if they ever animate Campaign 3, I would have them dating from the off in the animated series. I just feel like that would make a little bit more sense. It would add impact to the "you lied" moment. It would add way more impact to her death, to Laudna's death and revival. I just think the 2 of them starting off would have been better. And like I said, there's no solution. It's not my story. I can't be the one telling it. And I would, like I said, to me, this making them either date sooner or at the beginning would have been something to add and make the whole Campaign 3 feel different thing. Because they constantly say, Campaign 3 is different. Campaign 3 is different. That would have done it. That would have set a different tone from the beginning, that this is a different type of campaign because we're not going to watch a will they, won't they that lasts way too long. Literally, episode 1 to episode 65, will they, won't they? Why? We've already damn well known these 2 characters are going to end up together. Why did they do this? Why did they stretch this out so long? Just my personal opinion. I like the relationship. I like the characters. Laudna is one of my favorite Critical Role characters of all time, so I'm excited to see where this goes. But I want to sort of draw parallels to, and I think this is partially where my problem comes from this. I have 2 players in my game who are dating in real life. They, first characters they've ever played as for a long campaign. Like, I was excited for them to come in and play a character, blah, blah, blah. They decided they were going to date from the beginning of the game. And it was super interesting. The fact that they, like, relied on each other, they always talk to each other, and like confirm with each other what the idea is going to be. In combat, they always make sure that each other are okay, more so than the rest of the party. It's really interesting. And when I look at Imogen and Laudna, it's the same shit. They've already been together from the off. So it didn't make sense to me why they weren't saying it. And now they've made it official that they're together in episode 65. So, I don't know. I just feel like it would have been a little bit cleaner, a little bit more impact on some of the stuff that they did if they were already together. But that's just my opinion. So this rant is now over. Let me know what you think. Do you think they should have started dating sooner? Should they have started dating from the beginning of the campaign? Should they have ever started dating at all? There's actually one more thing I want to sort of bring up. I wonder if Laudna was this codependent on people before Delilah revived her. Or before the Delilah revival thing. Like, the first time she came back to life from the tree. Because Delilah is a codependent person. She literally went to the ends of the earth to bring back Silas Briarwood. So I wonder if there's a connection between that emotional spectrum and Laudna's emotional spectrum. But that's just a question. So anyway, I'll see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.